will or won't happen anytime soon. It goes back to every therapy for everything was fought at some time or another. Medicinal marijuana, Montel Williams, huge champion of medicinal marijuana for people with MS. And, honestly, in the world of the professional kitchen, everybody is jealous that I have MS because they're figuring that medical marijuana bill is going to go through and they're going to be mad, But it's just, everything has its time. Everything's going to happen. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. The treatment I'm on now is the best what we got. And even at that, it carries with it about a 2% risk of death, But I'd rather live my life to the fullest while I'm here and take that chance, roll those dice if I have to. I'm one of the people. I don't personally believe anything really bad's going to happen to me, and that goes back to with the award why I insisted on giving the money to Sarah's house instead of the MS Society or Montel's Foundation for MS or whatever. Entering a contest like this, being nominated as it was, my wife wrote the story and nominated me. Being nominated for a contest like this, it's only self-serving to say I want to give the money to the National MS Society. That kind of negates your ability to win the award in my point of view. Then I'm just giving. It's kind of like saying just give the money to me. And it's not about give the money to me. It's about the spirit of the contest was to do good for others.
Right.
And I wanted other people to benefit from this, and so if anybody can benefit from my story in any fashion, I'm all about it. If there's somebody listening today that, just found out last week they got MS, hopefully they see, it's not the end of the world. It's really not, it's the end of what you knew it to be, but it's the start of this crazy new ride that, is full of so many ups and downs. It's ridiculous. There's still a lot of good you can do for everybody else. There's
and
still
I
a lot
mean,
of
just
good.
sitting there talking to you, it hasn't gotten you down.
No.
And I'm sure there's some days that does play into it, but for the most part, 7 years later, you're still very upbeat. You can look at things and through rosy glasses. Mm-hmm. You see that there is hope there.
Well, it's absolutely. I mean, if I did a cumulative total of everything I lost with MS, I could sit around and cry about it a while. You look at the fact that the early on, 7 years ago, the common prescription for an MS relapse was a heavy dose of steroids. I was on 1,000 milligrams of Solumedrol by IV for a week when I had a bad relapse. I mean, that's a lot of juice. I ought to be breaking Major League Baseball home run records with those kind of steroids running through me. And the reason why I look the way I do today is because of those steroid treatments. When I graduated culinary school back in 2000, I weighed 155 pounds. I weigh 215 today, and that's only because I've lost 35 pounds in the past couple months. The steroids absolutely destroyed my physique. The depression destroyed my desire to get up and go out and do stuff. The MS itself limits my ability to, do physical activities and things like that. So it's like, yeah, okay, so I gained a bunch of weight. Yeah, okay, so my wife and I actually split up for a period of time before we got married. We had been engaged, and, right after we were engaged, I got this diagnosis, and we actually split up for about a week just because she wasn't sure if she could deal with it. And, I could sit around and be bitter about that, but I can't blame her. I'm not sure I'm ready to deal with it. 7 years later, I'm still not sure if I'm ready to deal with it. For all I know, what could be viewed today as being, having a great attitude, maybe I'm just really in deep denial. Maybe I'm just like really ignoring the whole thing. But the fact of the matter is I can walk today. I can hold a knife today. I can run a very successful deli and a very successful gourmet shop. I can still do everything I wanted to do. I can still put my culinary education to good use. I'm still sending guys up to the Culinary Institute of America. I'm still recruiting for my college. I'm still shaping and altering the food scene in Maryland by doing the writing that I do, occasionally, by sending guys to school, by getting guys to graduate, by training the guys that can't afford school in my own kitchen and sending them out into the world. I've got a lot of guys that have learned, cut their eye teeth under me, as it were, learning how to cook over the past. Goodness, if I say it out loud, it's going to scare me. It's been about 17 years I've been cooking professionally now. And, if I send guys out there, people working alongside of me, people working under my supervision, that's my stamp. That's what I'm doing. And so even if I'm not the one making the food, that food wouldn't have gotten made without my influence. And I'm at peace with that. That's a cool way to do it. I still I try to do good works outside of all that. In fact, the reason I'm bloodshot eyes, hair's all messed this morning, running around in t-shirt and jeans, looking quite unprofessional, is strictly because I just came back from Tawnytown, Maryland, where I was performing a marriage ceremony for my sommelier buddy. So I keep busy. I do stuff, and I don't let it affect me any more than it needs to. I'm conscious of it. I pay attention to it. I listen to my body, and I just do the most that I can when I can. Or as I always say around the store, people say, so what are you up to? I say, well, do what I can for who I can, when I can, if I can. And that's the way that's not even, you don't have to be sick to follow that advice. Just, get out there and do something, and you think about things differently, especially during these economic times, you're thinking about things differently. You say, well, it's easier to go to McDonald's. Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is easier. But, it's easier not to get out of bed either. So, let's take the $5 we were going to spend at the drive-thru and go down and buy some fresh fruit and an avocado or something and, go eat something good. Go make something at home. Let your kids cook with you and learn how to bring the family time back into it, and do all the good stuff that you're supposed to do. Eat good food, feel better, or you can keep doing what you've been doing. You always do what you always done. You always get what you always got. It's not rocket science here. It's just living like you're supposed to, and everybody knows what they're supposed to do. It's just most people find it easier to ignore it, than to actually go through with it. It's a lot harder to volunteer your time. It's a lot harder to do stuff for free. It's a lot harder to give away your hard-earned money to help somebody else out who maybe needs a little assistance,
Listeners, are you hearing this message coming across there? So many people out there have so much to give, and then here's a gentleman that has found peace in his own life and found ways. There's always opportunity. Every day that you wake up, there's opportunities for you to do something positive that day. He's found a way. We hope that all of you find a way. We'll take a short break. We'll be back to wrap it up here on Straight Talk.
Are you on Facebook? Do you enjoy keeping up with your friends, family, and favorite pages? Do you enjoy reading every... Welcome back to Straight Talk with your host, former Cambridge, Maryland Mayor Cleveland Rippins. Phone lines are open at 410-228-9238 at 1-866-687-5483. You can also email the show, straight.talk1240 at live.com.
Yes, we're back on Straight Talk, and today we're talking about a true inspiration. Kurt Clodfelter and his battle through MS there. He was the recipient of the Rare Life Award from local distillery. And let's go back there. Chris, can you talk about, you've talked a little bit about your company's involvement there, but if there's some listeners out there that, I understand you do this on an annual basis, is there some listeners out there that do have a story and want to get that included for your consideration next year? Talk to us about that aspect, how they can contact you for more information on past recipients, and then as you move forward.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Actually, how the award wins, and there is a website for it. It's eaglerarelife.com. Basically, how the award works is that anyone can go and submit a story about a friend, family, or a colleague, or somebody that they feel kind of really has those core values of, courage, leadership, survival, devotion, character, or heroism. And what they can do is they go to the website, they click on the add story link, and they can submit a story and a couple photos, and then that gets posted online, and basically then the site is set up so you can share it with Facebook or Twitter, or you can email friends so that they can come and view the story, and then they can vote. And then, and voting, you can vote for a story every 24 hours, and then the top 10 vote getters each year are then considered for the Rare Life Award. Right now we aren't accepting stories. Unfortunately, the contest has closed until Memorial Day of this year. It will reopen, and then it will run through the end of the calendar year. So if people do have stories, maybe they can start thinking of them, but there's actually not a place where they can go and post it online today. But we'll be running some promotions and reaching out to those people that it touched this year to let them know that the contest has reopened, and that we want to hear those stories and want to hear as many stories as we can get. It's it's an honor to work on the actual contest, because every day while we're running it, our team gets to read all these stories. So it's very uplifting for us, and we hope that people really grab onto it again and take the time to share their thoughts on their friends and family that are really inspirational.
And again, we want to thank you for not only taking the time to be with us this morning, but for sponsoring such a worthwhile contest there. Our thanks go out to you. And Kurt, of course, we want to ask you your final message that you want to live. And again, you've lived the whole life, and that's an important thing that we want, is not just talking the game, but you've lived through that. You continue to live through that, be an inspiration out there. Your final message that you'd like to leave with their listeners.
Just two, actually, real quick. I would like to thank Eagle Rare myself, just because the award money, the $1,000 that they'll be donating to Sarah's House, is more than I'd ever been able to come up with. And using that money, I'm hoping to, I've been talking with Sarah's House, and I think that this might help kick off a cooking class that I'll be doing over there to teach the folks how to work with the food stamp program and, actually make good, wholesome meals with real food instead of going out and buying Stouffer's lasagnas and whatnot, to go out and, not that I don't love Stouffer's lasagna, Stouffer's don't sue me, but, it is fantastic. I'd never come up with $1,000 to
You
get,
see
so
how
that's
quick he
actually
picked
cool,
up on that? Sharp mind as always.
That's right. The MRIs, they look like Swiss cheese, but it's awesome, my final message is, everybody just needs to stop taking everything so gosh darn seriously. I mean, laugh about it. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? And I mean, I could sit here throughout cliche after cliche after cliche, but, everybody else just tuned out after that last one probably. But, it's just, you got to stop taking things so seriously. And it's not one of those feel-good, silly hippie things of, just love and peace and serenity. It's not the end of the world. There's no part of any of this is the end of the world. Watch a couple survival shows on the Discovery Channel, and you won't really feel so bad if you lose your house, because you're going to know how to go build one out in the woods or something like that, and how to set snares and catch all the squirrels that have been running through your yard all year. It's not. There's a humorous way to look at it. There's a positive way to look at it. And then there's the self-serving, boo-hoo, crying your beer stuff that, a lot of people like to pull, and it's just, that's not how I roll, and I don't think that's how anybody needs to do it. Just, wake up, go help somebody else. You'll feel better about your situation if you're helping somebody else get out of a worse one,
There you go. And remember that, you've heard words here from Kurt there, and they're not just words, because he's lived that out there. So if we take anything from our short time with us this morning, is that be positive. There's always something good out there. If something seems to be getting you down, and there might be struggles in everybody's life, but belief in something, whatever that may be, a higher being, whatever, belief in yourself will get you through it. Kurt, we want to thank you also for being with us today.
No, thank you for having me.
And being that living inspiration. Right now, word of note, the next couple of days, we'll be taking a couple of days off there because it's a family matter we're dealing with there. Again, something positive. I get to spend some time with my son. So right now, we'll say goodbye. Join us a couple days from now, and we'll be back for more here on Straight Talk.
This hour of Straight Talk with your host, Cleveland Rippins, on WCEM AM 1240 is brought to you by Dry Zone, your complete source for crawl space encapsulation, basement waterproofing, and foundation repair. Dry Zone in Milton, Delaware. Call toll-free 888-755-5121. Online at dryzone.com.